Welcome to the Spiritual Warrior Coach podcast. This is a sacred space where healing begins, intuition awakens, and your spirit remembers its power. I'm your host, Barbara Savin, author, energy healing specialist, hypnotherapist, and spiritual life coach. For over 35 years, I've guided thousands of souls to protect their energy, trust their intuition, and step into their most empowered self. I invite you to join me for heartfelt conversations, spiritual insights, and gentle practices that nurture your soul and inspire your daily life. And together, we'll explore how to rise above negativity, trust your inner wisdom, and embrace the truth of who you are, a divine, radiant being of love and strength. So take a breath, settle in, and know you are not alone on this journey. You are loved. You are supported, and you are more powerful than you've ever been told. So let's rise together and join me now as your host. Well, thank you for joining me today, and welcome to the Spiritual Warrior Coach podcast. I'm your host, Barbara Savin, here to help you reclaim your power, your energy, and your authentic self. And today, I am honored to welcome a remarkable guest, someone whose journey and purpose radiate strength, resilience, and deep spiritual wisdom. So, welcome, Judy, to our show.
Thank you, Barbara. Thank you for having me.
Oh, my pleasure. And before we begin our incredible conversation, I'd like to introduce you to my listeners and share a little bit about your beautiful journey. Judy is a clinical social worker, manifestation coach, trauma therapist, and author. After her own life of struggle, trauma, and loss, Judy used the principles of the universe to manifest a life of abundance and love. She wrote a book about manifestation therapy and how other supportive professionals can integrate the universal principles into their own supportive work. And Judy supports others with a unique blend of emotional healing, mindset shifting, and nervous system reset through the power of brain spotting and an integration of other evidence-based modalities. Her purpose is to support others shift from struggle to flow, from dreaming into action, and create a life filled with purpose, peace, and power. Wow, that is really heavy duty here.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. So let me ask you something. I know you lived through, profound struggle, trauma, and loss. What was actually the turning point or awakening moment that you realized that you can actually transform your life, using the principles of the universe?
Yeah. It was, I had lost about 8 people all in the period of 3 years. And that wasn't even the beginning of my trauma, but it was kind of the end of allowing it to lead the way. So it was, I hit this stage where I was like, either something has to change in my life, and I'm part of that, or this is it. I can't take anymore. And then it was like things just started to kind of flow and happen. I read The Secret, of course, and Louise Hay, You Can Heal Your Life, and Eckhart Tolle's The Power of Now. And then I just started to kind of implement and integrate all those kind of learnings and teachings into my own life. And I had been working in high tech. I was a computer programmer. Didn't really enjoy it, but I'd kind of fallen into it. And I got laid off. And it was like the third time in like 2 years. And I just, instead of like dwelling on it and getting so upset, I allowed myself the emotion. But I went home and I was like, no, I'm going to cheers this, because this is the opening doorway that I've been waiting for. And it really was. I found a program that paid for me to go to school, went back to school, got a college degree at the same time as taking these side courses in university. And from there, I got 2 university degrees, went on to get my master's, and it was just kind of everything started to flow. So that's how I got into the social work, and the doorway opened into manifestation.
It's amazing when that happens, to us. I know for myself, many, many years ago, working at General Nutrition Centers, after a while, and I was there for 15 years. After a while, everything starts to fall apart on you. And then you say, all right, I'm not really happy. What is going on? And yeah, I did the same thing, Louise Hay and all of them. And it's amazing how their teachings actually helped us to manifest the life that we are now, fulfilling.
Right. Yeah, I still use Louise Hay's "You Can Heal Your Life" with my clients. And part of her story being how she was like in her 60s when Hay House came to be. And that itself is amazing to people.
Yes.
It's never too late, right?
Believe me, it's never
Yeah.
ever too late. I'm 77 and I say to myself,
Ah,
this is, you need to fulfill that purpose and passion that is truly within you. And it's so
yes.
important to do that. So that
Yeah.
again, you can live a life full of peace and love and joy and everything else
Right.
that your heart truly,
Yeah.
needs and desires.
Yeah.
So let me ask you, you created manifestation therapy. So
Yes.
for
I see the
listeners
book
who
right
may
there.
be hearing this term, for the first time, how would you explain what it is and how it differs from actually traditional manifestation teachings?
Well, it's kind of like I had it in my mind and I knew it was coming. Like 15 years before all the fad had started with the law of attraction, I wanted to create a model of therapy that would include the universal principles, like the law of attraction and manifestation, for people to use with their clients that would be acceptable and understandable. And so I created manifestation therapy for supportive practitioners like therapists, nurses, anyone can kind of integrate the model of the universal principles and help people change faster than if they're using like CBT or DBT, because it helps change the mindset, the nervous system, emotions all at once and connects them rather than looking at each piece separately. So it's a model of integrating that. And it's like a step-by-step process through
So
seeing
do you also
clients.
use like the positive affirmations, everything that Louise
Yes.
Hay, taught us?
Gratitude.
Hmm.
Yeah, the gratitude is a big one. Gratitude's the attitude, and positive affirmations, and also being able to understand what's happening in your body and the emotions. There's another book I have that has like all the guides and worksheets that go with it. So it has step by step moving through limiting beliefs. I call them imprinted messages, but moving through all those things that hold us back.
Boy, there's a lot of those that hold us back, isn't there?
Yeah. Yes.
And I,
Yeah.
I looked even at myself and I really feel some of it may have been past life or, as we're,
Yeah.
a child,
Yeah.
what other people think of us. So yeah, it's important to say, you know what? I'm done. I need
Yeah.
to put you aside so I can finally be free to be who we're actually meant to be.
Right. Yeah, my highest self. You asked about affirmations, and I will say that in January, I created oracle cards, and they
Oh,
are pretty much like this one came out. I easily find balance with my masculine and feminine energies. I nurture what I align with. I find my power in action. So I'm putting those out in January.
oh,
Yeah.
well, lots of luck.
Thank
Congratulations.
you.
New on the spiritual warrior coach
Yes.
before it comes about. So let me ask you another thing. As a trauma therapist and you're still a clinical social worker,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
How do you actually bridge the world of evidence-based modalities with the universal laws and spiritual principles, in your client sessions? Do they sometimes think it's a little woo-woo or, what are you trying to do here?
That's a great question. I work with a lot of Canadian Forces members and
Mhm.
veterans in my clinical practice. And what I've found, other than a few of them, I tend to attract people, first of all, that are ADHD, and second of all, that are open and aligned and very ready for the spiritual side of things. Now, I don't make it part of our therapeutic practice, like right off the bat, or I don't even really integrate it myself. They bring it out and they bring it up. And then I just kind of go with the flow of what they're allowing, right? So if they talk about God or higher source, or just say they're having brain spotting is very spiritual. I'll get to that. If they say they're having like a vision when they're doing it, I just kind of go with that flow. But I do integrate all the different modalities, but I'm always aware of what's happening in their energy. So I intuitively kind of go with that.
Do you feel a lot of people are becoming more spiritual?
Oh, definitely. Because we're more open to it now,
Mhm.
right? Yeah. Yeah.
So let me ask you, you talk about shifting from struggle, which so many of us go through, to flow. What do you believe, keeps most people, I guess, stuck in that struggle, even when they desperately want to change, and yet nothing
Mm.
happens for them?
Disconnection, always. I survived very early childhood abuse. There was a lot of loss in my life during my youth. There was a lot of abuse. And then in my 20s, I was just kind of wild. And I was very disconnected from what was happening in my nervous system, what was happening in my emotions, what was happening in my mind. So, and part of that disconnection was voluntary. Like I wanted the escape that it was giving me. But
Mhm.
I find the people that are so stuck, it's because they're not connecting their mind and their body and their emotions. They're just, and it's safe for them to disconnect. So it's about creating that safety so that they can.
And
Yeah.
how do you help them do that?
First of all, it's dual attunement. So I tend, as I said, I'm ADHD, so I'm very go, go, go. But when I'm with a client and we're processing, my nervous system just completely calms and
Mhm.
I'm settled. So that kind of gives them the co-regulation that they need for a safe place to process whatever they need to.
Do you teach them meditation or?
Oh, yes,
Oh,
definitely. Meditation, I'm very big on. So mindfulness was kind of my very early years. I started that, but I teach them different grounding strategies, meditation, how to connect to the body and the emotions, identifying emotions and being able to communicate them, self-love, all that. So,
so
yeah.
do you feel that because so many people are stressed and filled with anxiety, they're still stuck and they can't move forward then?
Yeah. That's a great way of looking at it. Part of it I find has been um, they're told for such a young age that they're not supposed to be anxious.
Mm.
That's anxiety, there's something wrong with you if you feel it, right? And I also find that, especially with a lot of my clients that have trauma, they don't understand the difference between trauma and like the trauma responses and anxiety. So they might be actually in this triggered fight, flight, freeze, fawn response, or they might have anticipatory anxiety about something coming that they actually care about. Either way, they're telling themselves they shouldn't be, that they should
Mhm.
just be calm. And part of it is understanding that number one, if you're in the trauma response, that's how you've stayed safe. That's how you've learned to cope. So your brain is doing that because it wants to protect you. And then if you're anxious, that's just your body teaching you the message of something's coming and either it's scary or you just care about it.
Mhm.
So it's allowing it rather than trying to fight it.
So then, your work actually involves the nervous system regulation and brain spotting. So, actually, how does trauma affect a person's ability to manifest? And how do these techniques help um, restore, I guess, total alignment?
Right. That's a good question too. That trauma Early on, someone had told me, and I really go with this, that trauma destroys who you could have been, right? It doesn't take away who you're meant to be because that's always there. That's always something you can return to. But
Mhm.
it does destroy who you would have been if it didn't happen. I have found a lot of gratitude for mine because it's led me into who I am today, right? But it did take away a lot. And if if you're living in trauma as opposed to healing from it and moving into who you're meant to be, then there's blocks in self-worth, there's disconnection, there's avoidance because you don't want to feel so much, you don't feel safe. And how can you manifest and create what you want when you're in all this kind of chaos,
Yes.
right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
So do you think social media and all this crazy, internet and has a lot to do with a lot of that?
Yes, definitely. I work with a lot of youth as well, and they are often so heightened by what they're seeing, and their self-worth is impacted by what they see. And even myself, I don't watch the news. I very rarely will, like my algorithm is manifestation and positivity. But every once in a while, I get these really negative stories, and it's instant that I can feel it in my nervous system. So if you think of people that watch that all day, how that must be impacting them, right?
Well, no
Yeah.
doubt. And like AI and
Oh,
nowadays you look at something on your phone and it's hard to say, is this real or is this not real? Because it looks real, but AI has done an amazing job making things look real. And I even say to my clients, you need to put that phone down. You need to stop looking
yeah,
at all this because then you won't be able to heal what needs to heal because you're stuck in that type of energy.
yeah, yeah. You need a detox, right? Just like from everything else that kind of takes over. You need to
Oh,
come back to self.
oh,
Yeah,
without a doubt.
yeah,
Because yeah, if our body, mind, and spirit is not connected, then we're not grounded and we're all over the place, and then
right.
you can't get anything accomplished.
No, no, because
So
you're just trying to survive. Yeah.
exactly. So let me, in your journey, you moved from daydreaming to taking, intentional action. What are some, I guess, some practical steps that you encourage listeners to take when they feel overwhelmed or unsure where to actually begin?
Well, I would say one of the things that I usually suggest beginning with is that gratitude attitude. So, beginning the day, because when you wake up, everything's reset and finding things you're grateful for. I always suggest starting with three, working up to 10. And then again at nighttime when you're going to bed, instead of playing over all the horrible things that have happened and all the chaos that's coming the next day, to just kind of do a body scan, come back to self, and then think of all the positive stuff of the day. I like to say find the magic. So, what happened that day that, was synchronicity or aligned with what you want or reminded you about love or self? And then yeah,
No, go
yeah.
ahead. I'm sorry. Mhm.
I also always suggest journaling to begin with because writing accesses that part of the brain where our emotions are, where our intuition lives. So it kind of helps that connection process as well. Yeah.
Yeah, I know when I wake up in the morning, I always sit on my couch and before I do anything, I say, thank you for the roof over my head. Thank you for the water, my clothes, the
Yeah.
cup of coffee. Because I feel it's so important to, no matter big or small, when we're grateful, it puts our life in a different perspective. And I know,
For sure.
we were supposed to have this interview a few weeks ago, and then we had rain here and winds, and my internet connection went completely kaput. And I have to say, I was very stressed because it was you and two other people I was interviewing. And then by the end of the day, when I still didn't have internet, and everybody was very understanding. And I said, okay, it just was not supposed to happen. It's
Right.
okay. Sometimes things happen for a reason. We don't know what the reason is, but it's just not meant to be that day.
Yeah. And Barbara, the silence, the stillness, sometimes it's a gift
Hmm.
because that is where manifestation, it's where our creation can come to us, as opposed to us trying to search for it and find it and go, go, go. And I'm one of those people that's always go, go, go. But I was very grateful for that hour of kind of, oh, I just get some time to myself, right?
Hmm.
So yeah, it happens. It's okay.
I know. Well, I had a whole day to myself, but which was unusual, but it was stressful because everything was going haywire. But I said, "All right, Barbara, sit back, relax. Maybe you need to meditate. Maybe you need to do nothing for a change, and sit in that silence and look out the window and say, the rain reminds me of when I lived in Brooklyn." So,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, it's little things like that we tend to overlook. And let me tell you, by the end of the day, even though it was crazy at the beginning of my day, I sat back and I said, "This is really nice." And I opened my back door and I listened to the rain and I said, "Wow, this feels so refreshing." So I guess all that
Lovely.
madness was supposed to happen that day
Yeah,
for me to step away and say, it's okay. It's okay that this
yeah.
happens.
Lovely.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But so let me ask you, your philosophy blends emotional healing, um, mindset shifting, and universal principles. So which
Yes.
of these three do you feel people actually overlook? And, why is it so essential?
Hmm. That's an interesting, like, I feel like it depends on the category of the person, honestly.
Mhm.
A lot of people push away the emotional identification and are all about, well, if you're anxious, treat it. If you're depressed, treat it and become happy. If you're angry, you need to find peace and calm. But I kind of come from it as a standpoint of those are emotions we're meant to have. They're messages that we need to pay attention to, and then we process them instead of trying to push them away or change them. So the medical profession kind of wants you to just treat the emotion and change it, right? And then if we look at mindset and changing that, often I don't want to like pinpoint population,
Mhm.
but I would say people that are very logic orientated, kind of focused on where they need to go, are all about we need to just change the way we think in order to get to where we want to be. But again, those thoughts, that messaging, it came from somewhere. So
Mhm.
it's kind of about looking at where it came from and healing that as opposed to just changing it. Otherwise, it still stays in the nervous system, which has stored all of that. So again, the nervous systems, a lot of populations don't even look at it. They just, again, treat the symptom. If you have pain, treat it with some pain medication. If you have IBS or autoimmune, treat it with medication for that. If you have, I don't know, a sore back, go to the chiropractor. But what if it's tied to something that happened early on that created that messaging, that created the emotions that we didn't process that's stored in our bodies? So again, it's all about connection. So I don't know if I focus on just um, yeah, it's about connection.
You have to,
Yeah.
yeah, because yeah, I
Mm.
know sometimes pain could be definitely from emotion, and it's not a
Yeah.
physical pain. It feels physical, but it's not. It's some emotional aspect that we're holding
Right.
on to.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, do you feel people just overlook that and they look for that, quick
They want it
fix,
to be
that pill
easy.
to
Yeah,
to
they
be
want it to
easy?
be easy. And the
Hmm.
pills work at first for a little while, but then it never cures. It means you have to take the medication ongoing. So why not look at where it came from and heal it completely and let it go? Then hang on to it and just keep covering it. Right. same with mental health when they give,
Yeah.
and I'm not saying don't take medication because sometimes it's really needed, especially if there's a chemical imbalance or pain. But sometimes when you heal, even the chemical imbalance can regulate. So, yeah.
Well, I know, healing is like a roller coaster ride. You have your ups and your downs, and that's when a lot of things look you in your face and say, all right, well, you can hold on to me or you can let me go and finally heal. And,
Yeah.
healing takes time, and
Yes.
that inner strength to know, all right, this too shall pass.
Yeah.
And it's okay if I feel these feelings because they're supposed to come up. I acknowledge them, but it's time to say goodbye. That you've served me purpose back then, but now I no longer want you.
Yeah.
And instead of taking medication, I mean, some people, of course, need the medication, but do you feel that, others where they really need to heal on all levels, they take medication and it's actually masking some of them from actually healing?
Yeah, I remember being on antidepressants when I was in my early 20s, and it felt like I was in a fog. Like there was no, I couldn't cry, didn't feel emotion. It worked to get me to kind of move past where I was, but it didn't cure where it had come from.
Mhm.
Um, so some people need those medications, but it definitely masks the root of the problem, right? Even some therapies out there mask the root of the problems because they focus on just change the way you think and you'll feel better.
But
Yeah.
it's not that easy.
No.
You know it and I
No.
know it.
Yeah.
I know I'm still healing even at this age. And there are things that all of a sudden comes back at me and I say, "Oh, I guess I really didn't let that go, or I need to figure out why it's still coming at me."
Yeah.
But the whole purpose of it is to help us heal and to help us grow and
Yeah.
live a life, fulfilled with everything that we're looking to, look for in this lifetime,
Right.
and not, I guess, not be a victim of things that have
Mm.
happened to us in the past.
Yeah, it's a journey, and it's finding the little lessons and the little gratitudes in everything that happens to us, right? Like grief, it's just about honoring the love. That's why grief is like a roller coaster because you don't want to, like, if you lose someone that you really, really loved, and then you're still wondering why you get sad 5 years, 10 years later, that's
Mhm.
because the love is still
It's
there. And
still
so it's
there.
just honoring it. Yeah.
But the same with our pets,
Yeah.
and I find, I mean, grief is hard no matter what it is, but some of my clients that lose their pets can't get past the fact that the pets passed away.
Mhm.
And I think grieving from pets sometimes could be harder than when grieving from a human.
Yeah. I think because of that, you become so connected to them. You know, they don't, I mean, your dog doesn't really judge you, or in fact, it's the opposite, right?
Yes.
No matter what you do or how you've given them trouble, they're still going to come and want to snuggle and stuff. So,
Yeah, they
yeah,
still want the kisses and everything else and the
it's,
hugs and sleeping with us and
yeah.
yeah. So, but
So,
yeah, it amazes me. And I mean, I feel in my heart that many of our pets are angels from above, showing us unconditional love. But I mean,
yes.
that's how I
Yeah.
feel. But
Yeah.
because their love is like it's so different.
Yeah. Unconditional. That's the very, yeah.
Hmm. So let
Mhm.
me ask you, for professionals, for therapists, for coaches, for healers who actually want to um, integrate universal principles into their supportive work, what is the
Mhm.
first thing that they need to understand or to unlearn?
Mm. Oh, that's good to unlearn. Well, I would say the first thing to learn is the 12 universal principles and what they mean, and how to recognize them. And then to unlearn would be predictability, because
Mm,
we don't know what's coming. We never know. One of the most impactful lessons was that science is never proven. We think it is. We'll say, well, that's a proven fact. That's, in the scientific journal. But science is never proven, and we're always showing how it's never exactly what we think. The other day I heard this, I think it was a podcast, and I'm sorry, but I don't remember who said it, but it was about how 1 + 1 = 2. And we know that. And we take that for granted. And nobody would argue that if you said, well, that's a fact. But then think of a puddle, two puddles that form together. That's not two. That's 1 + 1 = 1. Or two clouds that come together. 1 + 1 = 1. So there you go, is a complete fact that we're taught from the time we're two up is a fact, but it's not. So it's just kind of amazing that nothing is really predictable,
Oh,
which is fun.
oh, well, yeah, we don't know what's going to happen in a moment from now. All we have is being in the present moment. And I think that's the most important thing, is for us to understand that. And yesterday is gone. We can't change it. Hopefully we've learned from it. Tomorrow, who knows what's going to be. But yeah, to live in the moment and I guess not have all those expectations, I want to say.
Yes. And thinking that we know our clients and exactly like trying to predict what they're going to do, what they're going to think. We don't know that for sure. I always still get surprised by my clients.
I
Yeah.
do too.
It's,
So I
it's
say,
fun,
"Well,
right?
what are you doing?" I thought you were going to change this and do something different. But yeah, what I call it spiritual timing. It's
Yeah,
when it's
yeah.
supposed to happen. It's when they'll heal and change, including
Yeah.
us. So
Yes.
it's
Yes.
it is what it's supposed to be, I guess. But yeah,
Right.
that's the truth. Yeah, when it's funny when that happens, because here we think, we feel in our hearts that we're really helping them. But if they're not ready, no
Yeah.
matter what we say or feel or write down for them, it's just not going to happen. And
Right.
it's not
There's no
that
budging.
we're not doing our job. We are, but it's when their soul says, "Okay, it's time for you to finally get rid of this and move on it."
Yeah. Yeah.
So, right? I mean, it's incredible. When you find that happens in your field with many of your clients.
All the time. Yes, for sure. And some of them will leave and then come back in a little while and say, okay, now I'm actually ready. Yeah.
Oh, it's funny because I've had that happen also. I've had some of them come back like 4, 5, 6 years later. And I said to myself, wow, I really thought things have changed. But no, now it was time for them to change.
Yeah.
So, and I guess we need to really be understanding. We need to be very patient with them, and to show them, and no judgment in any way, so that,
Right.
when it's time for them to heal is when it'll happen.
Yeah. Yeah. A safe place.
Yeah, because if
Yeah.
they don't have a safe place, and they won't come back, that's for sure.
Right. Yeah.
Now, for you, I know you manifested for yourself a life of abundance and
Mm.
love after tremendous hardship. What does abundance mean to you now, and how has your definition actually changed over the years?
Ooh, I love that. Abundance originally to me meant just having stuff, like my bills paid and making more money and the new car, the new house, all this stuff. And now abundance to me is I am abundance, the love, my kids, time, freedom. That to me is abundance. It's not about stuff. Although, I mean, I did, of course, manifest all that, but that was never really the end prize. The end prize is when this is a good explanation. So I just learned Reiki, and part of it was the bubble of protection. And the bubble of protection was building this love and think of something that you love and then create your bubble. and my bubble was my kids and holding them. And I thought, this is like more abundant feeling
Mhm.
than having anything in the whole world. So abundance is that love and freedom. Yeah.
How old are your children?
So that was one of my manifestations. I had been told I could never have children. I had polycystic ovary syndrome and my hormones were all out of whack. And so I'd kind of decided to look into adoption. And I just started manifesting holding a baby, having a baby. And then I had actually did Ho'oponopono, which is another whole story, but I'd forgiven my ex from when I was younger. We hooked up and I ended up getting pregnant like almost right away with my oldest, who was 11. And then I was like, okay, I was 38 when I had her. And he kept saying, well, we could have another one. And I was like, yeah, I don't think so. I'm probably too old now. Anyway, I went back on the same supplement that I had been taking when I got pregnant with her. And I had my second when I was 46.
Wow.
Yeah. So I don't know who said that I could never have them, but they were very, very wrong because I have a 4-year-old and an 11-year-old. Yeah.
Wow, good for you. It's amazing when,
Mhm.
because I was also told I wasn't able to have kids. And my reason was when I was like 12 years old, I fell on a picket fence that went through my stomach. I mean, that was,
Oh,
yeah, that's another whole
goodness,
story
Barbara.
in itself.
Yeah.
But they said I would never have children. And um, as I grew older, I kept on saying to myself, it just doesn't, that didn't feel right to me. Even though I thought, well, maybe I did damage a lot internally, which I did. But I got married at the age of 21, and we were trying for many years. But then at the age of 27, lo and behold, I got pregnant. And I said, all
Mhm.
right, I needed to trust that if this was meant to be, it'll happen. So yeah, sometimes, we're told something, and like for myself, well, it just doesn't resonate. It doesn't feel right. And so, we have that choice. All right, we can plant that little seed in our head. Oh, I'll never have children. I'll never have children. Or we can say, all right, I'm letting that go and just, God, if it's meant to be, it'll happen. And I ended up I mean, my son is 52, my daughter is 50. I have old kids. They're up there in age, and I have like grandchildren all in their 20s. But yeah, it's amazing how when someone says something to us, we have that choice, I feel, either
Yes.
to plant that seed
Yeah.
and allow that to grow, or to say, I'm
Mhm.
not going to listen.
Yeah.
Um,
And imagine what a different world it would be if doctors no longer had the right to say never to a patient,
yes. Boy,
or just to limit, with cancer
mhm.
patients, you have like a year, you have 6 months, or you'll never have children. Imagine if they couldn't get away with saying those things. If instead it was, you have the choice now to look at your healing journey or your journey moving forward, what it's going to be like.
Well, that's it. And I think they need to look more in the spiritual aspect of it.
Yeah.
That if it's meant to be, it'll happen.
Yeah.
I know when I was in my late 30s, the doctor had told me I would be crippled just like my mom. And I remember getting up and I was really upset with him.
Yeah.
And I when I walked out, I sat in my car and I said, God, there's my choice. I can take his words and really let them sink into me, or I can take those words and throw them away and say, no, that's how you were telling me, not me feeling what I was feeling. And let me tell you, thank God,
Mhm.
I'm not crippled like my mom.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think it's how we think and how we feel, and words that people tell us have, they can either help us or really, I want to say destroy us in a way.
Yeah. Language is so powerful, even from the time we're like babies, right? It's so powerful. And a lot of the times not even intentionally like malicious,
Hmm.
but they're so powerful. And look at all the people who walk that are told they never can. And the people who end up having like 3 children that they adopt, and those souls are also meant to align. So
Exactly.
we create our destiny.
I feel
Yeah.
we do to an extent. I mean,
Yeah.
again, we have free will, we have choices.
Yeah.
So it's all how we look at things and
Yeah.
whether we remain victim or say, no, I won't be a victim of that circumstance no longer. And I feel, I mean, I'm sure you do, you probably see this a lot as a social worker, that a lot of people stay in that victim mentality.
Yes. Yeah, I use the Karpman drama triangle a lot. It's where you cannot have conflict or drama without having three roles. And sometimes people interchange the roles, but there's the persecutor, the victim, and the rescuer. And to get out of that kind of drama triangle means you become a supporter, you become accountable, and you have empathy. So you no longer take part in the drama and the chaos and the conflict. You communicate instead. So,
I wonder why people just stay in that victim mentality.
well, part of it is because it's protecting them, right? So if it's working, it works. So if you're playing victim and people are taking care of you,
Mhm.
or um, paying your bills, or giving you attention that you never got, it's feeding you, right? So it's giving you something from that.
Do
Yeah,
you think they ever step away from that, or they have the
for
ability to
sure.
step away?
Once they have the ability to see that there could still be a positive way if they were to take accountability and learn to take care of themselves, for sure. Yeah. But they have to be willing to change.
To change, yeah. Or
Yeah.
just sit back and take whatever it is that they can.
Yeah.
Do you feel then they come back in another life in a completely different scenario? I mean, I know it's a little
I
far-fetched, but
Well, I think in that, if they don't learn their lesson in this lifetime, they're doing it again until they do,
till they
right?
do. Hmm.
Yeah, yeah. And thank goodness I have learned a lot of lessons in this life.
I'm raising my hand. Me too. I
Yeah.
always say, okay, I think we're done. I think we're done. But then I don't know, maybe not.
Yeah,
Hopefully I am. But yeah, it's funny how things constantly happen. I know for myself, um, I've had so many dreams that I was a healer in another lifetime and
Mhm.
but I'm killed many times. And so this lifetime, I grew up with all those abilities, but was afraid to,
Yeah,
move forward. Because also growing up in my time, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, I mean, this was woo-woo. This was, no one would
yeah.
come near you. Um, but it's funny when we finally moved here 21 years ago to California, I ended up getting a job at the Four Seasons Hotel doing energy healing therapy. And I said,
Oh,
wow, God, you finally made it real for me. And then I wasn't afraid, anymore. I mean, of course, I did a lot of things back east, but it's
yeah,
amazing how things happen to say, all right, I'm going to now give you a real break that you need so that you can use your abilities and not be afraid to say this is what you do.
right.
And do
Yeah.
you think some people are afraid to actually be
Yes.
authentic?
I've had a lot of people reach out and say that they see how I'm kind of embracing it all and they wish they could. And they can. But yeah, there's still a stigma. I have really one of my big lessons, I'd say, in the past decade is other people's emotions, other people's stuff, other people's judgment. It's all
Mhm.
about them, right? So if someone wrongs me, that's because of something they're dealing with. It's not about me. I mean, obviously, if I wrong someone, it's about me. But
Mhm.
if someone causes me pain, it's my responsibility to go move through the pain. But whatever they've done, that's coming from something that they've learned or need to move through themselves.
Yeah,
So
which is challenging. Hmm.
it is, yeah. But the stigmatization against like spirituality and this social work field, we'll say, moving
Hmm.
together, healing, it's changing. And honestly, I don't really care anymore. I've I've kind of come to this
Uh-huh.
this place where I'm like, I'm helping people. I'm supporting their change. And
Mhm.
that's what I'm meant to do. And that's all I care about doing. So judge me if you want to judge me, I guess. Yeah.
Amen. Believe me.
Yeah.
And we need more people like you in this
Yeah.
world that see the combination of all, because it is everything together. Again, the body, mind, spirit, in order to see change in our entire body, because
Well,
you can't just, no, go ahead.
that's what your energy healing is. Like
Hmm.
when someone's energy healing, they're connecting you, like you're connecting, you know that. So if there's a block in the mind, or if there's a block in the nervous system or emotion, like I've had energy healing and it's amazing. And I walk out and feel my emotions have changed, my thoughts have changed. Like, so why not have like therapy and coaching as well that can, it's all about connection. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think more people are now more open to all of this than
Yeah.
many years ago. And they're
Yeah.
seeing that it is mind, body, spirit connection.
Yeah. Well,
So,
we're seeing in social work, internal family systems, Richard Schwartz just put out a whole training on the spiritual side of things, and polyvagal. He's Peter Levine is talking about the spirituality in his evidence-based model. So it's beginning to shift all over in psychotherapy kind of side of things too.
well, I'm
Yeah,
happy I'm alive in this era then, because
yeah, it's exciting.
I said I would love to see it all,
Yeah.
finally encompass everything. Because I know my grandma, who was a healer, um, was afraid to, say anything.
Mm.
So me in this lifetime, I say, all right, I'm able to now see the change
Yeah.
and be more than grateful that it's happening.
And how did you get into energy healing?
My grandma was a healer. My
Yeah,
grandma was,
okay.
and
So
as
she
a
taught you.
child, I was able to see things and feel things. I had tons of imaginary friends, which weren't imaginary. They were to other people, but to me, they were real. And so I knew I had the ability. And my grandma would always do healing on my sister and I.
Yeah.
And I I would do the same. Like if I saw an animal hurt or something, I'd do the hands-on, and I knew it was there. But unfortunately, in that time, if you said anything or did anything, you were bullied and no one would come near you. And it's funny because in school, in the yard, I would sense if somebody would do something and get hurt. And when I would say,
Mm.
"Oh, you shouldn't do that because you may get hurt," they would, of course, do it. They would get hurt, and then they come back and beat the hell out of me. So it was like, I was always bullied, and so I
Um,
decided, all right, I need to stop this, because people think I'm weird, and then I'll have no friends at this, stage of my life. So yeah, it's amazing how we push back on certain things, and then all of a sudden, over the years, it finally comes back to us, and then we know who we really are.
yeah.
So yeah,
I
it
think
was
this,
a rough life, you could say.
yeah. And I do think the cycles are changing. Like I'm teaching my daughters to express their emotions and say what they
Mhm.
mean. Um, and do you see it with, now I'm asking you questions, but do you see it with your grandchildren where they're more open to
They're
energy?
all of them are very, very open.
Yeah.
They're into psychology, they're into yoga, they're into meditation. So it's so different when I look at them, because me growing up, I was always told, shh, children should never be
Yeah.
heard. So it was always that. Whereas with my daughter and my son, I always said, what is it that you need? Let me know.
Mhm.
So I would
Yeah.
never look at them and say, well, children should never be heard, because that's not right. Children need to be heard. We need to hear what it is that how they're hurting or their feelings. And it's okay to cry.
Yeah.
I remember growing up, my father would sometimes tell me, "Oh, you're a baby if you're crying." But it was, you
Yeah.
cried because it is.
Yeah.
So I see now with my family, all my grandkids, how different it is. And I'm very grateful that they're in this lifetime where they can actually feel and not be judged for,
Yeah.
their
Yeah.
feelings,
Yeah. Just to feel them.
just to feel
Yeah.
them. That's
Yeah.
so important. It's okay. It's okay to be sad. It's okay to be depressed.
Yeah.
It's okay to cry. That's all part of being human.
Yeah.
We're spiritual beings, but we're in a human body. So
Yeah.
this is something we need to adjust to and be able to heal from, I feel.
Right.
But
Yeah.
so let me ask you, because if you could leave listeners with just one powerful message about their ability to create like a life filled with purpose, with peace, with power, what would you want them to know?
You can have all the things. It's just about connecting to yourself, to your higher self, highest self, and allowing it rather than holding yourself back or trying to figure it out how or trying to logic it away or trying to tell yourself you don't deserve it. Just know that you can have everything. It's just about connecting. Yeah.
Connecting and working for it, not being
Yeah.
afraid to, think out of the box.
Right. Right. Let it come. Yeah.
Let it come. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I, when I had gotten that job, I think I actually manifested it because I actually created a vision board and
Yeah.
put myself working in that facility. And I said, if this is meant to be, that this will happen. And if it's not, then something else will come in because, one door closes, another door always opens. It's
That's
just a matter
right.
of when that door opens for you, for us.
Yeah. For sure. Yeah. Always.
Always.
Mm.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, I can talk to you for quite a while, but uh, where can my listeners, get a hold of you and find out more about your, everything that you offer?
Yep. Well, it's manifestationtherapy.com. On Instagram, I'm manifestation therapy. I'm on TikTok, LinkedIn. Judy Hawley is my name. My book's on Amazon and Barnes and Noble and Chapters if you're in Canada. So manifestation therapy. Yeah.
Well, thank you. Well, yeah, I'll make sure all that is in the notes so that they can
Yeah.
find you. And Judy, thank you so much today for sharing your wisdom, and your love with us. And
Yes.
I'm deeply grateful for your insights, your inspiration that you brought to, my sacred space here.
You're
And
welcome.
of
Thank you for
course
having
that,
me.
oh well, believe me, I'm happy it finally happened. You know,
Oh, you know what? I forgot to say, Barbara.
yeah.
I just put out a free course on the
Oh,
12 principles. So the universal principles. It's on my website under courses, learning, and I'll send you the link too. So
yes,
it's
and I'll
free.
make sure that link is in, all the notes that they can do it. And I'll subscribe to it also.
There you go.
Hey, listen, I know I can learn some things too.
We're always learning.
We're always learning. Well, again, thank you so much, Judy. And of course, thank you to my beautiful listeners, for opening your hearts and joining us on this journey. And, always remember you are powerful, you are loved, and your light matters more than you will ever know. So until next time, just keep shining, keep believing in yourself, and know that you are never ever alone on this path. So have a beautiful week filled with love and with light. Love, Barbara.